What's up everybody, this is Luke, and today I'm going to bring you kind of an interesting story. It's something I've heard about in my past. I don't remember where I heard about it, but it's always been kind of very interesting to me, and I'm going to stop tittle-tattling. What I'm going to be talking about today is the dancing hysteria of 1518. And I know what we're thinking. Dancing hysteria? What do you mean dancing hysteria? People dance all the time. So let me tell you how this all started. In 1518, a single woman went out into the street and started just getting jiggy with it, dancing out in the open. I can only imagine the kind of dance moves they had back then. You know, in their full 1518 attire, whatever kind of clothes they would wear back then. In my head, I pictured just like some medieval peasant type attire, and I'm just imagining them just break dancing out in the street. It's kind of funny. There have been other cases of this, but we're not going to really cover them. I'll go over them a little bit later on, but we're just mostly going to be covering the 1518 dancing hysteria. Now, I know you're probably thinking this is just a made-up fairy tale that is not real, but there are actual documents covering what had happened. Now, the kind of proof that we have that covers this is the physician notes, some cathedral sermons, as well as local and regional chronicles. So all these things line out what happened. We don't know exactly what happened, so they just cover the main important parts. So we sadly don't know everything that had happened during this time, but you know, we can get a good gist of what happened. I'll put my links down below for my sources so you can actually look it up as well and see that this is real. Now, there's not really just a clear-cut answer of why this happened, but we do know for a fact that a single woman started dancing and then another group of young women joined in on the dancing. Now, the first lady that did start the dancing, there are 4 to 6 people that have accounts of a woman named Frau Truffau. I'll put it on screen because I really don't know how to pronounce her name. There are actually 4 supporters saying that was the lady's name for the first lady that started the dancing. But like I said, she's actually unnamed in the physician notes and all the actual chronicles, so we don't know for certain. So after a while of the dancing between Frau and these group of young women, doctors as well as some bishops noticed what was happening, and so they interrupted them and stopped the dancing and took them to the hospital. Now, this is interesting because between the sources that I actually have, some say that the dancing went on for a week uninterrupted and they started dropping dead, and some say that they were intervened after a while of dancing and taken to the hospital where they died there. So either way, people did die. We're just not certain of if they died dancing in the street or if they died in a hospital. I believe that they're not just going to be left uninterrupted for weeks on end or whatever without doctors or the locals getting concerned and trying to interrupt them and take them to some sort of medical center. Now, I know the hospitals are not going to be like what they are nowadays, where they, you know, just full of technology to be able to cure them and find out exactly what's wrong, but at least we could have tied them down maybe and make sure they don't overexert themselves. Give them alcohol to try to make them fall asleep. I'm not sure what kind of sleeping medication they used back then, but I'm sure it wasn't melatonin like we use now. So after they were taken to the hospital, or not, then we kind of get lost in there. So the facts so far that we know, a single woman started the dancing, a group of ladies joined in, and after that, it gets kind of unclear. What I believe, other people started joining in, the initial people started to get taken away, and they couldn't handle everybody, so the people left in the street is what started to drop dead, is what I believe. Now, there's no sources to claim one way or the other. Like I said, there's mix and match sources here, and what I think happened is that, like I said, the people that started initially, they got taken elsewhere, and other people have joined in on the dancing, and they started dropping dead from there. Now, like I mentioned earlier, there are a couple more outbreaks like this recorded in history, one in the 11th century Saxony, and as well as one in the 15th century in Italy, but we're not going to be really covering those today because they're not the main subject points in this topic. I may try to find something about them later on, but this is going to be covering mainly the Saxony outbreak of the dancing hysteria because it seems to be the main one. Now, it's a controversy between how many people actually died, because in a lot of the context and the script and the chronicles that we have about it, it doesn't list how many people actually died, just that there were fatalities. What I've seen online, it is between 50 to 400 people that actually died from this event, which is incredible. If you can picture it, a small town back in 1500, 400 people losing their lives in a small town, that's going to impact their economy, how their entire ecosystem works. That's families That's insane, guys. So when you really picture it in that context, 400 people now is still a tragic number to lose. But back then, if you could lose 400 people in your town, that town's kind of gone into failure. Now, all the accounts of the deaths actually come from John Waller's book, A Time to Dance, A Time to Die, The Extraordinary Story of the Dancing Plague of 1518, where he says that all the deaths and fatalities that happened were not actually in the city or during the dancing, but actually afterwards, after the events. If we're gonna believe what he has to say, nobody died during the actual dancing part, but they all died later on due to maybe fatigue or whatever else was the actual cause of this. And that actually leads me into my next subject. What is the cause of this? So like I said earlier, there are not any clear-cut answers of what did happen, why it happened, but there are some theories, so let's get into those. So the first theory that we have is from food poisoning, which when I first heard that, I was like, I've gotten food poisoning before, and I definitely did not want to break out into a dance. I just wanted to lay up in my bed until I felt better and get everything that was in me outside of me. But apparently, this food poisoning was actually a fungi that likes to grow onto the rye, which was a lot of the bread that they used. And this fungi, when consumed, let's just say it was like shrooms. It has the same chemical compound that is found in LSD-25. So you can already picture just the psychoactive, crazy hallucinogenic dances that they were doing and seeing. And that just goes back to my other thing that I said earlier. Just picture these 15, 18 peasants in a small town tripping their butts off, dancing in the streets, just like raving around. That would be hilarious. I know it's sad, but picture of it is just hilarious. But the reason a lot of people don't actually believe this theory or believe it could not be true is because that when the bread was cooked, it kind of cooks out those psychoactive substances inside of the bread, so it would have just caused probably an upset stomach or something along those lines. Now the other theory, which I kind of believe more so to be the case, which would be stress-induced mass hysteria. And the reason I believe this could be the one is it started with the one woman, and then another group of women joined in, and then people started joining in. If it was a food source thing, it would have been a bunch of people at once, or at least more than one person dancing for a while and then getting joined in. I think that they were going through a really tough time back then. I believe that they just started dancing, and then that stress induced a mass hysteria amongst all of them, and that's what caused the large dancing between everybody. It's still not claimed one way or the other what really caused it, but this seems to be the biggest leading theory in it, and amongst all the sources, this was the one that had the most backing. But that's it for the Dancing Hysteria of 1518. Again, it just sounds too crazy to be real, but there's multiple sources backing it up, as well as multiple documents backing it up, so it's just something of the history that is forgotten and not talked about much, but it's just an incredible story of what kind of craziness the humanity had to go through to get to the stages that we are in today. So this is kind of my first video like this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you like down below, and let me know what I can change and do better for you guys in the future. I plan to have a lot more content coming soon. I'm just now getting over COVID, so I have had no energy this past week, but I promise there's going to be a lot more content coming up soon. Expect some photography videos, me going around downtown and just taking some cool pictures and seeing my photography progression go on. I'm still going to do a weekly vlog, but this week's video might be a little bit short. It's just going to be my symptoms and how I've gone over them in COVID. But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. This has been Luke. I'll catch you guys in the next video.